This is WeatherScope.
A rain and snow mix falling now in the New York City area. Hello, I'm Dan Atkinson. We also have snow in the upper Midwest, and we'll have more on the storm damage from the weekend. But first, let's go to Gene Rubin in the Forecast Center with an update on the New York snow.
Thank you very much, Dan. As much as 3 inches of snow has fallen on Long Island. The 3-inch total reported now from Rocky Point. LaGuardia Airport reported about an inch and a half of snow, and the snow is tapering down. We'll show you a radar from there in just a moment. Earlier today, this is what it looked like in New York City. Big wet flakes falling out of the sky. People open their umbrellas to avoid getting wet and hit by some of those big wet flakes. The snow did pick up significantly in the late afternoon and early evening during the rush hour. Some accumulation early evening reported on the grassy surfaces. Outside of the city, we had reports of snow-covered roads, but in the city proper on Long Island, not much of a problem. And now the snow, as mentioned, is winding down, maybe another ½ inch to an inch on the eastern end of Long Island, and then it should be just history. Let's look at the satellite map. 24 hours ago, we had a major storm, an upper low, over parts of the deep south, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and look at the progression of this upper low in 24 hours. It's moved, across 2/3 of the country in 24 hours from Oklahoma to New Jersey. Amazingly fast-moving system. It's that same system that brought the severe weather to parts of the deep south about 24 hours ago, with tornadoes reported in areas of Mississippi and Alabama, and now just some snow, cold weather up in the northeast. This is what it looks like on the composite radar and satellite map. The dark green colors show you where the heaviest snows are, a little bit of orange mixed in, some very heavy snow and sleet. But guess what? The good news is it's off the coast. It's hundreds of miles off the coast of Long Island, and it looks like it'll stay off the coast. Not looking for any additional heavy amounts of snow. Here's our newly revised snowfall forecast through the noontime hour tomorrow. And whatever snow does fall in this region will be in the next really several hours. I would say by just after midnight, the snow should be even out of southeastern parts of Massachusetts. But an additional 3 to 6 inches of snow could fall, and that would be mainly confined to coastal Rhode Island, Cape Cod, southeast Mass. Most areas getting an additional inch or so, and that should really be about it. The worst is over on Long Island, at least. Since the temperatures the last couple of days have been pretty warm, most of the roadways are in fairly good shape. There's a couple exceptions, the bridges, the overpasses, the untreated roads. There were reports earlier in northern parts of Maryland, highways 67, 340, and 40 were icy, snow-covered, and slippery, with numerous accidents being reported by law enforcement officials. But in general, the roadways are in fairly good shape. High pressure to the north, it is pumping down lots of cold air. Here comes a low pressure redeveloping off the coast of New Jersey right now. It should be moving rapidly out to sea. The northern band of that precip is falling in the form of sleet and snow. Some sleet and snow and rain mixed at JFK Airport during the last hour. But in general, where the snow is falling, temperatures are at or above the freezing mark. And that's good news. That'll keep the roadways in pretty good shape. We have a couple of radars to look at. The first radar will show us an overall view of the Northeast, and you can see for yourself how rapidly the system is moving out the back end of the precip from around Albany down to northern New Jersey right now. A couple of quick radar stops. As this radar goes into motion, you're going to see lots of good news if you live on Long Island, which is right there, of course. Watch that rain and snow move out. There it goes. Western end of Long Island, you're in the clear right now. West Hampton, the precip should be over, I would say, during the next hour or so. Boston, the northern edge of the precip, you might pick up an inch or so. Chatham, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, coastal Rhode Island, that's where we're expecting an additional 4 or 5 inches, not out of the question. So again, things are winding down over Long Island. Tomorrow morning's rush hour should be in great shape. Right now we're going to the studio. Dan Atkinson standing by. He has an update on some of the snow in the northern part of the country, such as Minnesota. Dan?
Thank you, Gene. That storm system affecting the Northeast tonight is the same one that caused so much damage in the Southeast and the flooding in the Ohio Valley. Heavy rain this weekend has caused flooding along the Ohio River. These pictures taken near Louisville, Kentucky. The swollen river also has caused damage and forced evacuations in Ohio and in West Virginia. Recovery and cleanup efforts are underway in Arkansas, where powerful storms raked the area over the weekend. It's been determined that a single tornado hit both Arkadelphia and Little Rock. The tornado was almost a mile wide and tore a path 80 miles long. It was an F4 on the Fujita scale, which means the tornado had wind speeds between 207 and 260 miles per hour. Well, you had Dry weather for the cleanup underway in Arkansas now. You're on the calm, cooler side of a cold front that has pushed on across the southeast. It did produce a little bit of severe weather this morning as it moved across Alabama, Georgia, into the Carolinas. Around daybreak, for instance, Calhoun, Georgia, had some trees downed and some power lines down. And also in Madison, North Carolina, some trees down as well, when some few severe thunderstorms erupted out ahead of this cold front, but the severe weather was not nearly so widespread or serious as had been occurring over Arkansas back into Tennessee and Ohio. Meanwhile, in the upper Midwest, across the northern plains, snow falling as a clipper makes its way eastward and weakens, but it is nonetheless producing significant snow in some areas and blowing snow, particularly at Pierre, South Dakota now. Blowing snow and light snow falling. Pierre has winds out of the northwest at 34 miles per hour or 35 miles per hour, gusting to 43 miles per hour, and the visibility at Pierre, South Dakota now just a quarter of a mile. Most of this area, though, reporting light snow and winds not nearly so strong as that. Minneapolis reporting light snow now, as well as Duluth and Fargo and Grand Forks. There's an onshore flow in the Pacific Northwest, and as the radar goes into motion, you will see that airflow with the precipitation spreading on toward the east. Of course, it's rain at the lower elevations along the coast. You get into the Cascades, and you have snow falling in the higher elevations. This system also producing snow back into the mountains of Idaho and Montana, and it will be piling up in the Cascades and particularly in the Wasatch of Utah. Current temperatures include 30 in Denver, 49 degrees in San Francisco, New Orleans 64 degrees, 34 degrees now in Chicago, 35 degrees in New York City, where you've had the heavy wet snow and now you have a mix of rain and snow falling. And places like New York and Boston, your temperatures, of course, considerably colder than you were yesterday at this time. Still ahead on this edition of WeatherScope, a detailed forecast for the nation. And first, a movie named for it, now a new snowfall record. We're going to Fargo coming up.